Hi, I'm Scott, and today we're going to talk about non-Newtonian physics and how it relates to motorcycle protective gear. Coming up next. I hope too many of you didn't tune out at the words non-Newtonian physics. I promise I won't get into too complex a description of what that is and how it relates to this. But I'm talking about protective gear. Now I wear this protective gear all the time on my motorcycle, and for two reasons. One is impact resistance and the other is abrasion resistance. Abrasion resistance means you have something like this Cordura fabric here, which is highly resistant to abrasion. So when you're sliding along the ground, instead of leaving your skin behind, you're just basically sliding along the ground. And when you get up after your crash, hopefully you're in a position where you're actually able to do that, you're relatively uninjured because you didn't leave your skin behind on the road because you were wearing your protective gear. As someone who has actually crashed a motorcycle and slid along the ground, I can tell you two things. One, I'm still alive today because I was wearing a helmet. And two, I still have the skin on my body because I was wearing my protective gear. Now, I slid for quite a ways down the road, and my protective gear did wear through because of how long I was sliding. I wore through the outer layer. I actually wore through the jeans that I was wearing underneath it. And as I came to a stop, it had just gotten to the underwear. So it didn't actually get to my skin, but almost. But that said, I was relatively uninjured. I did break some bones, but that was due to the impact with the truck that hit me. Okay, so I'm talking about abrasion, but what I really want to focus on is the impact resistance. So when you hit the ground, you really don't want to hit and concentrate forces. Unfortunately, our protective instinct is to do this. It's innate in our bodies. Anytime we're frightened or startled, we go into this. We basically bend over and arms in like this, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't get away from it. It's hardwired into your brain from Neanderthal times. Unfortunately, that means your elbows and your knees, because you're flexed over, all these joints become bent, and that's what's going to impact the ground. Elbows, knees, hips. And when you do that, if you impact the ground and say you're doing 20, 30 miles an hour, and all your weight comes down on that tiny little piece of bone right there, guess what happens to that tiny little piece of bone right there? It's not going to be there anymore. So that's the reason behind the impact absorption panels inside our protective gear. Now, these panels can actually come out so you can adjust them to fit yourself, but the whole point behind those panels is to spread the impact. Now, typically, these are foam padded with a hard shell on top. So the front surface, the part that impacts the ground, is hard, and the part that's against your body is soft, relatively, because it's foam. The idea is that the impact hits the surface. Now, it doesn't matter if it's up here or down here, but it spreads that out. So instead of all the impact being concentrated on one little spot, the pad over there means that the impact gets spread over a large area. Because it gets spread out, instead of smashing your bone or your elbow, it spreads it out, and you might end up with a bruise instead of a broken elbow or knee or hip. When I bought this set of protective pants, they came with hip protectors in them, which I will pull out and show you what they look like. They are a dense foam. That's it. That's what it looks like. It's kind of like a memory foam, which is utterly useless in an impact. It doesn't do any spreading of impact forces. It really is basically for comfort. I can't see, if you hit this, the amount of protection a half inch of memory foam is going to give you is really minimal. You're going to end up still bruising or breaking hips if you actually hit directly on that. The same goes for the knee gear. In fact, pretty much all the protective gear I get comes with really substandard actual armor in it. And that's why when I buy my gear, I will put additional aftermarket armor in it. And what I choose and have been using for years is SaskTech. Now the problem with most of this armor is because it has that really hard surface on the outside and the foam on the inside, it's really uncomfortable because the hard surface doesn't bend. SaskTech is different. It's a special polymer that does bend, so if you have it, this is obviously a hip protector, but if you have it on your knee, it will bend to fit your knee regardless of what shape your knee is like. And because of that, it's comfortable to wear. But this is something special. It is soft, it's comfortable, it bends, it's soft, it complies to your body. But unlike this, instead of just passing impact right through the foam, this does something special. Now I mentioned non-Newtonian physics, and a perfect example of this is water and cornstarch. What happens with water and cornstarch when you add it together, you get a syrupy gloop. If you were to take a hammer and slowly push it into that goop, you would see exactly what you expect. The hammer just goes in and gets coated in the goop of water and cornstarch. But here's where things get interesting. If you hit the cornstarch mixture quickly with the hammer, the instant the hammer contacts that syrupy gloop, it turns into a solid. And as you can see, the harder you hit it with the hammer, the harder it turns into a solid, and the hammer cannot penetrate. SaskTech works on the exact same principles. It's soft and pliant. It means it's comfortable to wear because you can squish it, but the instant you hit it, it turns into rock hard, and it absorbs and spreads out that impact. That's why I use SaskTech armor almost exclusively in all my gear. You could buy this to fit pretty much any piece of gear that you own. I'm going to put an Amazon link in the description below that will take you to all the different kinds of SaskTech armor that you can actually purchase for your motorcycle gear. I really highly recommend this stuff. If you're looking for a Christmas gift or something, put this on your list, because if you ever actually do come off your bike and you're going to impact the ground because gravity exists, you really want to have some of this SaskTech armor. It will protect you in a fall in that it's going to turn into a nice hard shell that spreads out the impact over a large surface area to protect your body, but it's also comfortable to wear because it's flexible and soft when it's not being impacted. So unlike armor that has that permanent hard shell on top that doesn't bend at all, this bends and is comfortable and is really the best of the best when it comes to street armor. That's all I got for you today. I hope this is of some use to you today. Seriously, go to Amazon, use that affiliate link below. We make a few cents if you use it to buy this or anything. And get yourself some SaskTech armor for your gear. If you do like what you saw here, please click like, subscribe, click that little bell. It really helps us out when you do that, and you get notified every time we post one of these new videos. And of course, don't forget to check out the Goldwing Docs forum. 95,000, I think it's 95,000 members, Goldwing owners just like you, friendly people just waiting to say hi or maybe help you out with a problem you might have. Thanks for watching. If you do like what we posted, and you get notified every time we press. Also, don't forget to check out the Goldwing Docs web.